1 Kings chapter 20. And Benhadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts together, and there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Samaria and warred against it. And he sent messengers to Ahab, king of Israel, into the city and said to him, Thus says Benhadad, your silver and your gold is mine, your wives also and your children, even the goodliest are mine. And the king of Israel answered and said, My lord, O king, according to your saying, I am yours, and all that I have. And the messengers came again and said, Thus speaks Benhadad, saying, Although I have sent to you, saying, You shall deliver me your silver and your gold and your wives and your children, yet I will send my servants to you tomorrow about this time, and they shall search your house and the houses of your servants, and it shall be that whatsoever is pleasant in your eyes, they shall put it in their hand and take it away. Then the king of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, Mark, I pray you, and see how this man seeks mischief. For he sent to me for my wives, and for my children, and for my silver, and for my gold, and I denied him not. And all the elders and all the people said to him, Hearken not to him, nor consent. Wherefore he said to the messengers of Benhadad, Tell my lord the king all that you did send to your servant at the first I will do. But this thing I may not do. And the messengers departed and brought him word again. And Benhadad sent to him and said, The gods do so to me, and more also, if the dust of Samaria shall suffice for handfuls of all the people that follow me. And the king of Israel answered and said, Tell him, let not him that girds on his harness boast himself as he that puts it off. And it came to pass, when Benhadad heard this message, as he was drinking, he and the kings in the pavilions that said to his servants, Set yourselves in array, that they set themselves in array against the city. And behold, there came a prophet to Ahab, king of Israel, saying, Thus says the Lord, Have you seen all this great multitude? Behold, I will deliver it into your hand this day, and you shall know that I am the Lord. And Ahab said, By whom? And he said, Thus says the Lord, even by the young men of the princes of the provinces. Then he said, Who shall order the battle? And he answered, You. Then he numbered the young men of the princes of the provinces, and they were 232. And after them he numbered all the people, even all the children of Israel, being 7,000. And they went out at noon, and Benhadad was drinking himself drunk in the pavilions, he and the kings, and 32 kings that helped him. And the young men of the princes of the provinces went out first, and Benhadad sent out, and they told him, saying, There are men come out of Samaria. And he said, Whether they be come out for peace, take them alive, or whether they be come out for war, take them alive. So these young men of the princes of the provinces came out of the city, and the army which followed them, and they slew every one his man, and the Syrians fled, and Israel pursued them, and Benhadad, king of Syria, escaped on a horse with a horseman, and the king of Israel went out and smote the horses and chariots, and slew the Syrians with a great slaughter. And the prophet came to the king of Israel and said to him, Go, strengthen yourself, and mark, and see what you do, for at the return the king of Syria will come up against you. And the servants of the king of Syria said to him, Their gods are gods of the hills, therefore they were stronger than we. But let us fight against them in the plain, and surely we shall be stronger than they. And do this thing, take the kings away, every man out of his place, and put captains in their rooms, and number you an army like the army that you have lost, horse for horse, and chariot for chariot, and we will fight against them in the plain, and surely we shall be stronger than they. And he hearkened to their voice, and did so. And it came to pass, at the return of the year, that Benhadad numbered the Syrians, and went up to Aphek, to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were numbered, and all were present, and went against them. And the children of Israel pitched before them like two little flocks of kids. But the Syrians filled the country. And there came a man of God and spoke to the king of Israel and said, Thus says the Lord, because the Syrians have said, The Lord is God of the hills, but he is not God of the valleys. Therefore will I deliver all this great multitude into your hand, and you shall know that I am the Lord. And they pitched one over against the other 7 days. And so it was that in the 7th day the battle was joined, and the children of Israel slew of the Syrians 100,000 footmen in 1 day. But the rest fled to Aphek into the city, and there a wall fell upon 27,000 of the men that were left. And Benhadad fled and came into the city, into an inner chamber. And his servant said to him, Behold, now we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Let us, I pray you, put sackcloth on our loins and ropes upon our heads, and go out to the king of Israel. Perhaps he will save your life. So they girded sackcloth on their loins and put ropes on their heads, and came to the king of Israel and said, Your servant Benhadad says, I pray you, let me live. And he said, Is he yet alive? He is my brother. Now the men did diligently observe whether anything would come from him, and did hastily catch it. And they said, Your brother Benhadad said, then he said, Go you, bring him. Then Benhadad came forth to him, and he caused him to come up into the chariot. And Benhadad said to him, The cities which my father took from your father I will restore, and you shall make streets for you in Damascus, as my father made in Samaria. Then said Ahab, I will send you away with this covenant. So he made a covenant with him, and sent him away. And a certain man of the sons of the prophets said to his neighbor in the word of the Lord, Smite me, I pray you. And the man refused to smite him. Then said he to him, Because you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord, behold, as soon as you are departed from me, a lion shall slay you. And as soon as he was departed from him, a lion found him and slew him. Then he found another man, and said, Smite me, I pray you. And the man smote him, so that in smiting he wounded him. So the prophet departed and waited for the king by the way, and disguised himself with ashes upon his face. And as the king passed by, he cried to the king and said, Your servant went out into the midst of the battle, and behold, a man turned aside and brought a man to me and said, Keep this man, if by any means he be missing, then shall your life be for his, or else you shall pay a talent of silver. And as your servant was busy there, or here and there, he was gone, and the king of Israel said to him, So shall your judgment be. Yourself have decided it. And he hasted and took the ashes away from his face, and the king of Israel discerned him that he was of the prophets. And he said to him, Thus says the Lord, because you have let go out of your hand a man whom I appointed to utter destruction, therefore your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people. And the king of Israel went to his house heavy and displeased, and came to Samaria.